15 months make? What happened 15 months ago? Back then, New Hampshire was one of only 4 states in the country with absolutely no restrictions on legal abortions. Where are we now? The House of Representatives has passed 6 anti-abortion bills. They passed 5 in the last 2 weeks. Ban partial birth abortions. Ban abortions after 20 weeks. Require women to get a 24-hour waiting period. Ban state funding to health care providers that provide abortions. Set up a study committee to prepare firm statistics on the number of abortions being provided in New Hampshire and where they're being provided. Now, a kind of skittish state senate and a very pro-choice advocate in the corner office, John Lynch, may prevent some of those things happening. But boy, like I said, it's a very different landscape. And why have we had this? It's all about the election. Yes, conservative Republicans and House Speaker Bill O'Brien are very anti-abortion. They feel it in their hearts. This is a matter of personal conscience. The legislature at least pulled back the reins in the House on one bill that would have required allowing any health care provider, even a pharmacist, to refuse to provide services if they had a religious or conscientious objection to a medical procedure. We're talking abortion. That's what that bill was all about. It got tabled in the House. It was the only one that ended up being roadkill. As I said, some of these bills will have a hard road to hoe before they become law. But one of them will not, and I predict will become law. That basically makes a correction or an amendment on the 2011 first anti-abortion bill that has already become law over Governor Lynch's veto. If you recall, a minor girl under 18 now has to notify a parent before having an abortion. Now, that procedure allows a girl who has problems with notifying that parent to go to a judge and ask to bypass that procedure. Right now, the state law says the judge has to act within 48 hours. Now, the judicial administration has come to the legislature and said, all well and good for you to order us to do that. Thanks to your budget cuts, judges and clerks aren't available always on every weekend. So we can't guarantee an opinion within 48 hours. So they've sponsored legislation that would allow them up to 5 days. Really, they call it 2 business days. So counting the weekend and a Friday to a Monday, actually ending up being a Tuesday, it could be up to 5 days. I think that bill would become law, and I'd be surprised if Governor Lynch vetoes that bill. I'd be shocked if the legislature doesn't override that bill. So that one's going to happen. And I think probably the ban on partial birth abortions is probably going to happen. Governor Lynch may veto it, but I think that'll be overridden. Why? Because no partial birth abortions appear in New Hampshire. So there's no skin in the game. 2, it's illegal. It's against federal law since 2007 to have partial birth abortions. So it's a gimme for a lot of legislators, even some who may be very public pro-choice, to say, oh, these abortions aren't performed here anyway. Let me get the anti-abortion crowd off my back in the next election. I'll give them this one, and in the Senate, I'll vote against the others. I think that we're going to see some of that happen in the state Senate. But as I said, what a difference from 15 months ago. And we'll see in November whether voters swing that pendulum back, whether they want to return to what has been the case in New Hampshire, a tradition of a legislature, Republican or Democrat, being very pro-abortion rights, being very pro-choice since the Roe versus Wade decision from the Supreme Court in 1973.